jump right into building and zoning, which I'll call to order. It is 8:09 p.m. And we will start with item number 1 on the agenda, the zoning hearing board agenda for June 8th, 2026. It's my understanding that this particular appeal, 26-3815, has requested a continuance, so it's not for our consideration this evening. Is that correct, Mrs. Detweiler?
That is correct. I think the continuance request is kind of open-ended, so we will let folks know when it comes back for review.
Excellent. Thank you for that. Just for everyone's benefit, it's my understanding this was the cell phone tower proposed on 17 Limekiln Pike in Glenside, and they met with the Planning Commission. I think they got some constructive feedback and took that back to reevaluate their proposal. So thank you to both the Planning Commission, Ms. Detweiler, your team, as well as the folks who participated in that meeting, so that, when we're faced with a project here at Building and Zoning, we know that it's a project that is ready to put its best foot forward. So thank you for everybody for that. There are no other June 8 zoning hearing board agenda items, so we'll move on to item number 2. The zoning hearing board decisions. There are 5 of them. The first is appeal number 26-3808, Elkins Park Square Associates for 8080 Old York Road in Elkins Park. Ms. Detweiler, do you want to just give us a brief summary?
So short answer is the zoning hearing board denied the application. They found that it didn't meet any of the MPC requirements for granting the relief.
Okay. I think this is in Commissioner Chirico's ward. Is that right?
It is.
You want to make a motion?
I guess, what, no action? We're not, at this point, I think this, again, I said it before, I say it again, I think we need to take a look at our sign ordinances in this township and find places that we can make changes that are in better support of, or can support businesses better. But yeah, I don't think we do anything beyond that, but that will be something for the new manager to take on. One of the many things that I think we should put on his or her plate.
Yeah, excellent point. I agree. I think we need to be doing proactive measures in order to encourage commercial development in our township, particularly in a commercial corridor like 8080 Old York Road. But that being said, we have a motion for no action. Any comments or questions on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Thank you. Thank you all. Item 2B, appeal number 26-3809, Dune Marie for 221 South Easton Road in Glenside. Ms. Detweiler.
So this one was, I believe, for a kind of traditional type of mixed use. It was a studio where the operator would live in it. They granted the relief with conditions. The decision was attached if anyone wants to go through them, but I can answer questions.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Detweiler. This is in Ward 1. Look, it's a new addition to the corridor there. It's proposed for I think a dance and arts studio, which is really exciting. The hope is that they're really successful and draw a lot of people in. So I'll make a motion for no action. Comments or questions there? All right. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you all. 2C, appeal number 26-3810, Melrose Development LLC for 7600 Tookany Creek Parkway in Cheltenham. Ms. Detweiler, take it away.
So this one was granted. It was for the temporary equalization tank, which is not a permitted use in that district. It was granted with several conditions.
Okay.
Thank you. Can you remind me whose ward is this?
It's in my ward.
Commissioner Brockington.
Mr. President, I take no action for this item.
Okay. There was robust discussion at the meeting. And I think a lot of the conditions that were discussed at that meeting, perhaps plus others, I can't quite remember, were imposed as part of this determination. So we have a motion for no action. Comments or questions? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Thank you. Item 2D, appeal number 26-3811, Guillermo D. Clemente for 7852 Montgomery Avenue in Elkins Park. Ms. Detweiler.
So this one was also granted. It was for retail takeout food use in the MU2 district. There were some conditions. This is for an empanada business. I believe they've already started going through some other next steps. This does bring up one thing I would like to address at a staff level at some point is making our uses less restrictive. or our zoning districts less restrictive, because this is a classic case of like restaurant is permitted, retail is permitted, retail takeout foods for some unknown reason is not permitted. And as the person that's telling people no all day, I don't really have a good reason for why certain uses aren't allowed in certain places. So I would love to see us make our zoning code make a little more sense with those uses.
Yeah, so to that point, before I turn it over, I don't know whose word is this. Sure, Commissioner Sherman Walls. Yeah, before I turn it over to Commissioner Sherman Walls, Ms. Detweiler, your point is very well taken, and I think this board is very keen on having, regular reviews of our ordinances, whether it's zoning, whether it's other ordinances that need updating or improvement. These are all the intent here is for these to sort of grow as the community grows, right? And address that growth and address changes in whatever, right? Applications, technology, whatever it may be. So certainly, I don't want to speak for the entire board, but at least for me, I think we'd encourage staff to be doing those reviews on a regular basis, and this sounds like the perfect one to focus on. I'm sure you have probably a list of others that you'd like to look at as well.
Yeah, I mean, and if I may, we're, very short-staffed at the moment, and I would love to have the time to devote to this. And in the time that we're short-staffed, perhaps we could consider leaning on our planning commission and their expertise. When I worked with Springfield Township, we had a lot of working sessions with our planning commission there, and they got things to like a reviewable point for the solicitor, who will obviously, Ed will have to, take a bite at the apple, but just in I don't know, hoping for some efficiency and to take this to some.
So certainly the allocation of how staff works, we sort of leave to the manager, but yeah, that's certainly a viable suggestion. So thank you for that. Commissioner Sherman Walls on the appeal.
Yes, I'm thrilled that this business has been recommended for has been granted the relief. They will be, as Julia said, it will be an empanada takeout place eventually. And it is, just for everyone's knowledge, the owners of Curtin Way in Jenkintown. I wanted to give a shout out to Galia, who held their hand and walked them through this process. It was very confusing to figure out why they didn't just fit in the MU2. So thanks for all of the extra work that went to the education side of things. And I'd recommend no action, please.
Okay, motion on the table. Any comments or questions? Commissioner Cherico.
Yeah, just curious, and Julia, you could probably answer this question, and it has no bearing on a vote at all. But I noticed in the in the order from the zoning hearing board, it says there shall be no frying on the property. So is that not permitted in the MU or in that building itself because it's not made for it?
So I'm trying not to laugh because it seems like a silly condition a little bit, but that was part of their testimony at the zoning hearing board, was that these are apparently baked empanadas. And my understanding is that has more to do with like the building and code side, like with a fats, oils, and grease fog permit. And there were some concerns from neighbors about, grease entering the sewer system. And if they're baked, there's no problem.
And so was that their intention all along to bake them, or had they come in with the idea to fry, but because of the location and
No, apparently they bake these, which I'm not like an empanada expert. I'm from Southern California, but like I'm excited to see these. So I'll report back.
All right. Well, we'll forgive you for not being an empanada expert, but thank you very much for answering the question.
Thanks, Commissioner Churko. And thanks, Ms. Detweiler. Any other comments or questions, fried or unfried? All right, seeing none. We're not voting on fried or unfried, by the
Right,
way,
no.
fried or baked, but we'll vote on the motion for no action. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. And last but certainly not least, 2E, appeal number 26-3812, Ram Foods Corp. for 230 South Easton Road in Glenside. This is the Dunkin' Donuts application. Ms. Detweiler?
Yeah, so this was for the combination Dunkin' Jimmy John's that's going to be on Easton where the Baskin Robbins Dunkin' was. They granted the relief with some conditions, and one of those conditions related to the parking spaces that had been discussed in the previous meeting. So they did take that to heart and implement that change.
Which is very much appreciated. I think again, we wish that establishment a lot of success. The other thing I'll mention, so I'm going to make a motion for no action, but the other thing I'll mention is I believe there's an updated version of the decision that, Alice, is that right? That came late, or Ms. Detweiler?
So Bob Habgood did mention something about that. I don't know if it made it into this, but the update I think was specific to those parking spaces.
I think that's right. So what I would suggest is that I don't think it made it in the agenda, but we should just make a note and make sure that the minutes reflect the updated decision, because I think the zoning hearing board did an edit or something like that, and which resulted in an updated decision. So I just wanted to, I just wanted to flag that for everybody. Okay, great. So I'll move for no action. Comments or questions? All right, seeing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Ms. Detweiler. Number 3, receipt of the monthly Citizens Committee meeting minutes. We have the Planning Commission from May 18th, 2026. Any comments or questions from the board? How about from the public? All right, seeing none, I'll move for acceptance. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Great. Item 3B, the Board of Historical and Architectural Review met on May 21st, 2026. We have one item for board consideration. B1, consider the approval of a certificate of appropriateness for application Bahar-26-15 of Audrey Gusick, architect, for the addition of a new accessible entrance, repointing masonry, windowsill and trim repairs, roof replacement, gutter and downspout repair, and the removal of stucco from the non-functional chimney, and brick repointing at 400 Greenwood Avenue in Wyncote. Sounds like a big project. Commissioner Stein, I assume this is in your...
Yep. Yes, it is, and I move for approval of the certificate of appropriateness. And I also just want to say I'm really glad to see that historic restoration work is being done on this. The original Wyncote Public School building dates to the mid 1890s, and so it's great to see this, and that there's a new business going in there. So all in favor.
Great. Any other comments or questions? All right. All those in favor of Commissioner Stein's motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. Item number 4, receipt of the staff reports for April. Is that right? April 2026, or should it be?
So with the new system, there's a lag. So we're
okay. Yeah. Thank you for clarifying. So it is in fact April, despite my tone. I apologize. April 2026. 4A, the planning and zoning monthly reports. Comments or questions from the board? How about from the public? All right, seeing none, I'll move for acceptance of those monthly reports. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Item 4B, report of the building inspector. Comments or questions there, Commissioner Cherico?
That's I'm just getting my hand up ahead of old business.
Okay.
Forgive me. I'm just eager.
You're very well prepared. Okay. So, any other comments or questions on the report of the building inspector? Scott was getting nervous. All right. Seeing none, I'll move for acceptance of the building inspector's report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And item 4C, report of the code administrator report. Any comments or questions there? Board, public? All right, I'll move for acceptance of the report of the code administrator. All those in favor say aye.
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 We're gonna skip over old business. No, I'm just kidding. We have no items for old business on the agenda, but I believe Commissioner Cherico has something for old business.
Absolutely. I think I brought this up to us before, or perhaps individually. Forgive me, it's been a long month. But I want to talk about the restaurant that is going in over an 8080 Old York Road. I think there are two restaurants. It is a Vietnamese restaurant and then a revolving sushi restaurant. And they are being held up by the EDU process. As I understand it, they need, I think, 2 or 3, I believe, EDUs. But they are now looking at a 9-month process, apparently, in order to get that approval, which of course is a huge slap in the face and a huge issue. I just, I can't help but think that we've been through this before. And is there any way that we can do anything to fast track this? I believe one of our meetings we sat in before, we talked about the township having EDUs for that we can, for unexpected projects or things that we can dole out. Is there no way that we could actually facilitate this, to push this forward, to prevent these investors from having to wait 9 months to be able to open the restaurant or to get that approval?
I would suggest, Commissioner, if you'd like, we can kind of talk about this offline. I'm not familiar enough with it, but I can we can have a meeting with the township engineer and talk about kind of where the numbers are and what the appropriate process is.
It doesn't really answer my question. I mean, what help me understand, we have EDUs in our pocket, right? Is that correct, right?
As I understand, Commissioner Chirico, yes. And the township engineer is the person that knows this inside and out, but the township does have a small reserve of EDUs for small projects, conversions, things like that. So I'm not aware. I wasn't aware. You said they need 2 or 3 EDUs. I wasn't aware that that's the number, but we can certainly talk to the township engineer about that. If it's 2 or 3 EDUs, that may be a smaller lift than if it was far more than that. What I can say is that the township is never standing in the way of any of these projects.
I know that.
It's completely the DEP.
I totally understand that. I'm just saying, what can we as a township and as a board do to help push this forward, right? Like, what can we do? Do we need to sit down with DEP? Do we need to put pressure? I reached out to Napoleon Nelson. He said, ouch. And that was his response. So, I feel like there's, no one's interested in pursuing this, but I think we as a board and as a township have a vested interest in this. And I would think that we would, should be able to take some sort of action, maybe push some people. I don't know. But if there is a way that we can tap into some of our EDUs for a project like this, I think it would be it would be well spent.
Yeah, Commissioner Chirico, I agree. It's a larger issue that needs some serious focus and effort. I'm sure Manager Elliott, I'm sure Ms. Detweiler, and I'm sure our engineer, and I'm sure it's going to be a topic of conversation for our next manager to really figure out how to put, demonstrate to DEP that that we need to come out from under the thumb of this, these restrictions, because it's for years, it's been hampering our ability to have commercial development in a robust fashion as we need.
So here's my question. Can we as a board give or authorize or our engineer or whoever it might be to plan a meeting with DEP, with Senator Haywood, Representative Napoleon Nelson, to be able to sit down and have a conversation? Because nothing is getting done. We've talked about this for years, and nothing's getting done.
I agree. Yes, the answer is absolutely. I think we could do that.
Okay,
Manager Elliott, Mr. Lynch.
Yeah, Commissioner Jericho, I'm a little confused. How do I do this? So the Vietnamese restaurant went through the process, went through the zoning and everything like that. I know there was issues with the sign and all that. Everything was in place for that, that was given to us. So we issued the permits, we've done the plan review, we've done all sorts of inspections there. I was just there the other day doing on the sprinkler system and things like that. I'm confused as to what we wouldn't have been able to issue permits with the EDUs not being approved by DEP. So I'm a little confused on this.
unless I'm getting wrong information from somebody.
Can I jump in here? Because I think I have some information as well. Does anyone want to jump in?
Hold on 1 second. I want to make sure that we're not putting anything in jeopardy. So if there needs to be a conversation about what the facts on the ground are, perhaps Commissioner Cherico, Commissioner Jeremy Walls, and Mr. Lynch could have that conversation offline with the appropriate parties.
If I can just jump in and make a recommendation to anyone who's opening a business in Cheltenham, that just knowing that we are working within this sewer issue, I have been encouraging folks, if they can get water bills as they start the process, those will help demonstrate that you have this capacity already there, and then I can push them through. So this is one of those, we're getting creative. We had someone doing a salon, like small salon use, and they managed to do like, I don't know, like temporary bowls or something, like portable wash bowls. Like we're making things work, but I do think it's to the point where a meeting would help.
Just would like to clarify one thing that is both a question and also information that I heard, and I think that there are folks on this call that could clarify it. My understanding was that they had a year and they'd be grandfathered with the EDUs that were in the building before, and it extended beyond the year, and so they went back into the hopper for the EDUs. So that's the issue at play right now. They had a year.
But they didn't buy, they bought it well after a year after Marco Polo closed. So they didn't have an option to do that.
So we were already well into the process by the point that they bought it, and they had a finite amount of time left.
No, they had no time left. No, they had no time left because Marco Polo has been closed since 2021, I think. They didn't buy it till 2025.
Yeah, let's discuss this offline.
I think we need to. I don't want to put anything in jeopardy. So let's have this conversation. So, but since we don't really know what all the facts are at this point, I think maybe a conversation with the engineer, Mr. Lynch, our solicitor, probably makes sense. And if it needs to come back before us, we can do that once we have all the facts on the ground. So if things are moving forward, I don't want them to stop. So let's just be careful how we discuss it. Okay, but all that to say, I think having the meeting about the restrictions that we have with DEP, with our engineer, with our state representatives, and representatives from this board and the township is makes a whole lot of sense. So Allison, Ms. Detweiler, I'm sorry, Manager Elliott, Ms. Detweiler, if we could sort of put that in motion, that would be appreciated. Okay. Any other, thank you for that, Commissioner Cherico. Any other old business? Okay. Closing old business. Any new business? There's nothing on the agenda. Any new business from the board? Going once, twice. All right, closing new business. Let's open it up for citizens forum. Mr. Peterson, welcome.
Yes, hi. Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so I wanted to talk for a few minutes about the equalization tank, the temporary equalization tank for the Melrose. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the zoning hearing board meeting, so I don't have a lot of information, and I don't want to make this like a question and answer session necessarily now. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to understand who I could talk to find out more about this equalization tank. My little understanding is that it's going to be about 60 feet wide. And one question I'm not sure about is whether it's an equalization tank for sewage or for stormwater. Does anybody have a quick answer on that?
It's my understanding. Well, I don't know. Manager Elliott.
The tank is a sewage tank.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Okay, so with that, to have a large tank 60 feet wide or so for sanitary sewage, I'm wondering what has been done from a permitting standpoint. And one particular permit I wonder about is an air permit, as to whether they have applied for an air permit. Because a tank, you're going to have breathing losses and working losses from a tank when the volume, liquid volume in the tank is moving up and down, and also based on temperature changes, you're going to have emissions from the tank of sewer gas. So I'm assuming they have some sort of carbon filter or some sort of other filtration system for the air that's going to come out of that tank. So those are the types of questions I have. I don't know how close it's going to be to the nearest neighbor, but if you're going to have sewer gases pouring out of a large tank, that's going to create quite an odor. So I just had questions about the permitting for that, and again, particularly for the air permitting. So
Mr. Peterson, I think, or Commissioner Arman, if I could respond to that.
Please.
Mr. Peterson, if you have an opportunity at last month's Building and Zoning Committee meeting, there was a good presentation on this proposal. The applicant was present. I think some of the questions that you have were some of the questions that the board and the public had at that meeting. I'm not sure that every one of your questions would be answered, but I suspect that a majority of them would be. We talked about, there was a map on the screen of how close the tank was to the nearest home. We talked about odor. We talked about how frequently the tank would be used. We talked about, how to prevent against making sure that the tank doesn't overflow, what happens if there's a power loss. So it may be helpful to go back and take a look at that meeting. Again, it was the Building and Zoning Committee meeting from last month.
Okay, so this meeting that we're in now, the same meeting a month ago.
Correct.
There would be,
Correct.
There was a video of that meeting where you
That's right.
discussed this in detail.
I think Commissioner Stein may have added a correction that it was perhaps the April Building and Zoning meeting.
Thank you, Commissioner Stein, for that. That's right. We had our zoning meeting was delayed, I believe, last month. So good pickup.
Okay, are there drawings and details? Because I didn't see anything
There are.
on the
Yes.
website about
Yes,
the
there
equalization. But are they on the website now, or are they just?
They're in the agenda and perhaps the minutes, but certainly on the agenda.
Yeah, Tom, if you have any trouble finding it, you can reach out to me. My name's Julia. My extension's 225, and I can send you the relevant links. And as far as permitting, the first step is to get the project approved through the zoning. So that was the first step before anything else could happen.
Okay. And what is the rationale for seeking a zoning, exemption for this tank? Can you just give me a sense of why?
Mr. Peterson, I think that sort of question will be answered by by that presentation. So if you wouldn't mind just taking a look at that, if you have other questions, you can certainly email them to us. But I do think instead of rehashing it now from memory, I think it'll be a lot easier for you to just check that out and then come back with us.
Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate it. Any other comments or questions or citizens forum this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll close citizens forum. It is 8:40 p.m. and I will call for adjournment. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye.